So a year ago today, I actually broke up with my ex. And reflecting back on that now, it's like the first time that I wasn't afraid or scared, like, am I doing the right thing? Stuff like that. And the reason I wasn't like that is because I gotten that, is this the right relationship for me? Is not somewhere around in October of 2022. So that's when I'm like, oh, something shifted. So that's when I started asking myself, like, is this the right relationship for me? And based on a class that I recently revisited, um, our circumstances are actually a direct reflection of the questions that we ask. So the question I asked myself at that time was, is this the right relationship for me? Now it took from October 2022 until Feb of 2023 for me to be completely sure that I'm making the right decision. Okay. That's when we sat down and we had that conversation. I wasn't emotional. I wasn't feeling like there's something that I might regret later on. So that was a big shift for me because I wasn't like that until then. And just by being in the work, doing the mindset work, that allowed me a lot of clarity, to know, okay, this is the right thing to do. And it started to become obvious when I could see the different values that we had. So I am very aware that relationships is nowhere near my values. And we really didn't have anything in our value system that we could mesh together to be able to spend time together. So that was a clear indicator of this is not going to work. And the more that I try to live by his values, it wasn't a good thing for me. And the more that he tried to live by my values, it wasn't a good thing for me. So I made it very clear to him the moment that I knew, like, hey, these are your values, these are mine. First of all, these are your values, these are mine. And we try to figure something out, some way that we could still be together despite of our values. And that didn't work out well. Because when I was trying to fulfill his values, that's when, I was trying to be boxed into something that I am not. I do not value relationships, not romantic relationships in any way. I value friendships that speak to my highest values, which I'm very aware of now. However, for me to spend all that time and energy on a person when, we really don't mesh together, like, no. And on his end, he was the type of person that really valued relationships. So what I valued most at that time was my business, and he really valued relationships. So, and literally our values was flips of the other, because I had business over here, relationships over here. He has relationships over here, business over here. Like, yeah, it's not gonna work. And it didn't matter how much I tried to, put the relationships up here, or he tried to put business up here. He was trying to live something that he's not, and he was not 100% happy when he was, kind of quote unquote forced to go look at his business, because that's what I was doing. And I was, happy as a camper, doing the business and running whatever it is that I needed to do and whatnot. So I was very happy. And at the same time, when I try to live by my lowest values, just being in a relationship and spending time with him, he was happy as a camper, yet I was unhappy and dissatisfied. Okay. So that was red flag number one for me, like, ooh, look at here. Okay. So that made me understand that, hey, this is the right thing. This is the right thing to do. Now, I'm not saying that everyone that has different values, you should break up. That's not what I'm saying at all. Just being aware of people's values is going to help you make that decision of, um, is this relationship working out for me, or is this not working out for me? Way easier. Okay. Because the number one thing that you don't want to do in a relationship is have each other fulfill their values. Because I cannot ask my partner to fulfill my values because that's not his job, and he can't ask me to fulfill his values because that's not my job. My job is to fulfill my values. His job is to fulfill his values, and from there, you come together and you build something. So that's one thing that I've learned. That's one thing that I've discovered about relationships in a year. The other thing that I've discovered about relationships in a year is attraction. What's up with that? So there was this video that I got to listen to that talked all about attraction. And I got to see attraction in a whole different light. Basically, you are attracted. If you're attracted to a person, all the traits that you're attracted to are all the traits that you disown in yourself. And when I learned that, I'm like, because the first person ever that I felt really, really attracted to was this person I broke up with a year ago. And then from there, I went from him, I started seeing a pattern of the same people coming into my life. Like the same person, different face, same person, different face. Until I got to spend time with my roommate over last summer in 2023. And I shared this with her. And just because she's done the work, she's done a way more extensive work than I have ever done. And she's a lot of aware of herself and whatnot. She gave me a very great question to ask myself. And she was like, what are you not learning from us, Christina? It took me 2 months to figure that out. So the reason that I attracted, because my ex-boyfriend started to be a different pattern in a different way. So it was a continuation of a pattern that I had started to enforce when I was 15 years old, and I'll talk about that in a moment. And it started a different pattern as well. Okay, because from him there was one woman, two, three women, and now another man. So three women and a man that fit the same mold in a different way. Okay. So they're all very, very sweet people and highly analytical. Okay. So when she asked me that, and it took me a while to go grab the answer to the question. But when I landed, I'm like, oh, okay. So I was very highly emotional when I was living with my ex-husband in North Carolina. So I was the type of person that was very, very emotional. I was, his doormat, basically. I did whatever he wanted me to do. And I was highly, highly, highly unhappy. And at the same time, I overthought everything. Everything he said, he didn't say, he did, he didn't do. Like, I was just all up in here. And that's not a nice combination because I was overthinking everything and was very clingy. So that's the aha moment. That's the place that it wanted me to go and heal. That's the version of me that I actually haven't gone to heal yet. And now that I'm aware of it, before I needed to go facilitate an event in October of last year, shit hit the fan for me. It really did. Up until a point where I'm like, you know what, this is not worth it. I'm gonna quit. I haven't been comfortable and safe. I haven't felt safe and secure and comfortable in a year. It doesn't make any sense. I don't want to do this anymore. And all those thoughts came up. And at the bottom of all of it, at the bottom of all of it, was me going back and integrating this part of me that I have left in North Carolina. And when I did that, and I was in a text conversation with my mentor, because I was freaking out. I was freaking like, this is what I'm about to do. And I don't know what to do. And first of all, he was stop resisting it. Because I was resisting resistance. I was in resistance and I wasn't resisting that. And whatever you resist persists. So it was stop resisting it. So then I implemented some techniques and whatnot that allow me to go in and see what it truly didn't want me to see. And what it didn't want me to see, it brought me back to the same house where I was in North Carolina, and the only thing that was there was a sofa and me. That's it. And when I walked in, I walked up to myself. I said, I hate you. I turned around and I left. So then I shared with him, this is what it didn't want me to see. This is what it didn't want me to see, how much I hate myself. So after that, I actually scheduled 3 sessions with my mentor through the day leaving to the airport, including. And through those 3 sessions, I was able to actually go and own that part of me that I have disowned. And I just wanted someone to be there with me, because I am able to go through a lot on my own. And at the same time, there's certain techniques that I use to make myself comfortable and make myself safe and secure before I dive into it. And sometimes it's so intense that I want another person there with me. Okay. So that's why I did that. And I flipped from a person that I didn't even know if I'm going to catch the plane, to a person that not only caught the plane. What happened the 24 hours before is that I woke up at 9 in the morning. I had cried the entire night almost. I woke up at 9 in the morning. After an hour, I started crying again. I didn't even pack, and I was about to leave in the night, which is not normal because usually I'm packed 2 weeks before. I had a conversation with my mentor. I got some things integrated again. I went and I packed. I went to the airport. I didn't sleep the entire night. And in the morning, I was waiting for the Airbnb code at the airport for about 2 hours. I was about to fall asleep. And I ensured that everything else that was there and wasn't cleared through this method, that was going to get cleared through another method. So I had another 2 hours of processing and going through my shit just to be able to be there for other people. Okay. So more than 24 hours of not sleeping and 4 hours of processing. Okay. That's how I know that I'm living in my values. Okay. If I wasn't living in my values, I would not be able to do this. And that's how I got to integrate that part of me so I can be there for other people. So now, whenever I feel attracted to someone, and it has happened, I'm like, oh, well, wait, there's something for me here that I haven't owned about me that I'm now going to go ahead and own. And sure enough, as soon as I go own that part of me, the attraction disappears. And I like, this is so cool. I'm so grateful that I have this person in my life that does the same kind of mindset work. Again, he did way more extensive mindset work than I did. And we are able to communicate in that way to each other and just let him know, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I'm going to do. And yeah, there's nothing there. Now, the big misconception that people have regarding relationships, and it's the same one that I had for a very, very long time, is that, I'm half of a person you're half of a person. Well, half and half make a whole, right? No. Okay. They do not. Okay. So what I have discovered for myself is that a person, and I'll just say me, okay, for me, I want to be whole and complete by myself. Now, what does that mean? That means that nothing's missing. Because the majority of the time when you want a relationship, you think that something's missing and you want the other person to love you. Okay, this is a huge indicator here. This is a huge indicator. Whatever you want from other people is something that you don't have within yourself. So if you want other people to love you, you don't love yourself. If you want other people to respect you, don't respect yourself. If you want other people to like you don't like yourself. And once you start working on, loving yourself and liking yourself and respecting yourself, everything else that you want out there, you're not going to want that from out there anymore. Okay? It's not going to be a want. It's not going to be needy. It's not going to be heavy in that way. And you're really not going to want another person. So then the question was like, okay, so if my job is to be whole and complete by myself and truly not feel anything, because again, if you feel anything, either, quote unquote, good, bad, right, or wrong emotions, there is no such thing as good, bad, right, or wrong to begin with. But if you go up and down in the roller coaster of emotions, okay, if you go up and down in the roller coaster of emotions, that means that you're not balanced. You're not balanced. So your perceptions are not balanced. And that's why people tend to go up and down the roller coaster of emotions with someone else, because first of all, their perceptions are not balanced, and this other person's perception is not balanced either. You put those two together, yes, you're gonna have a freaking roller coaster. That's just how it is. But once you come to play, like, okay, these are my perceptions, they're balanced. It doesn't matter what happens out there. It really doesn't. Okay? Because you're not going to get triggered. And yes, when you are completely centered and balanced, you're not going to feel anything. You're not going to feel excited. Because if a lot of people think that you should, all be positive and all be excited. You can't do that all the time. Okay, there's a law of duality here that comes to play where it says that everything comes in pairs. There's a day, there's a night, there's an up, there's a down, there's a left, there's a right. Okay, everything comes in pairs. So you expect it to be only happy and excited all the time. Well, my dear, you're going to attract a nightmare to wake you up, and that's not possible. Okay, and that's how I attracted this relationship that I broke up with, because my requirement list was only of positive things. So then I attracted the nightmare to wake me up. Okay. However, now I'm aware that, if I want a person to be intelligent, well, we're probably going to have a lot of fights, or a lot of banter, a lot of, going back and forth and going at each other and whatnot. And that's okay. It comes with the territory. Okay. And if I want, a person to look good, well, I have to, keep in mind that I'm probably not going to be the only person that, is going to like the way he looks. And there are probably going to be a lot of other women that are going to feel the same way. Okay. So once you balance your perceptions and come into a relationship with a balanced perception, like, okay, this is what I wanted, and this is the drawback, then you're good. Nothing out there that is going to trigger you, because you already know, okay, this is what I wanted. This is the drawback of what I wanted. And there's nothing there. Okay. And that's another thing, that we want only the benefits. Okay, so that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted only, the fantasy, the benefits, the positive things. And that's why I attracted, again, the nightmare to wake me up. Okay, because you can't. But once you come to a relationship with a balanced perspective, yes, it's easier for you to just, go do the positive list first. However, I highly encourage you to go look at the drawbacks. Okay, so I gave you two. I gave you, if you want a person to be highly intelligent, well, just know that there's going to be a lot of back and forth. There's going to be a lot of not arguments, because if you truly are at the same place and you're growing from there, you're not going to look at that as arguments. You're going to look at those as opportunities to grow, which is exactly how I'm looking at. Because, for example, when I'm having a conversation with this person, he hears something, he just starts going off, and I'm like, okay. And I so appreciate that. I so appreciate it because I get to hear what he hears on his end and how it comes off to him. And if it quote unquote triggers anything, I know it's not him. There's something in me that's coming up that wants to be healed. And that is so powerful. That's so powerful to know that it's not the person, it's not what they're saying, it's not what they're doing, but whatever they're saying or doing is triggering something in you that hasn't been healed. And they're like, okay, this is what's coming up, put in here. I'm going to go ahead and look at it later. Okay. So that's really, really powerful. And I'm really thankful that I know that, and I can go look at myself and be like, okay, this is what's coming up, and we're going to go ahead and, look at it. Now, the other thing that I've realized about relationships, anything that you judge about the other person, again, is something that you do not own in yourself. So I've noticed that, and this was what I was doing with my ex. I started judging him. Okay. So I'm like, okay, what's the trait that I resent? This one, got it. Where in my life am I doing this? And that started to balance my perception, because here's the thing, when you judge someone, you're putting them in the pit and you're saying that, I am better than you. Okay, when that's not true. When you admire someone, you put them on a pedestal and you're saying that they are better than you, which is not true. Again, we're all equals. Okay. So this technique that I'm sharing with you right now, where I was like, okay, what am I judging in him when I was putting him in the pit? And then I was going and owning those traits, had me, I had myself here, I had him here, and that balanced it out. Okay. Same thing where, attraction is to put someone on a pedestal. And you're saying that I am less than you, and that's not true. So when I felt like that, I'm like, okay, let me, balance myself out here, because I know that everything that I see out there is also a direct reflection of me. That's another powerful concept that I truly, truly got this year. Everything and everyone around you is just a mirror. Okay. So and what I'm getting to own now with this person in my life is I'm seeing that it's very easy for me to own the dark side of me, because I've done a lot of extensive work. That does not scare me. Funny enough, going deep down the rabbit holes does not scare me. Imagine that. However, seeing the light of the person, seeing the light of the person, and seeing how powerful I am, that is what's scary to me. And once I got aware to that, I'm like, oh, well, look at here. This is what it wants me to go and heal. And I got to own parts of me that I didn't even know that were disowned, just by using these techniques. Okay. So the other thing that I have actually just landed upon today, going back to this course that I've gone through, that talks about, the question that you have in your mind is going to go ahead and create the circumstances around you. So I am always working on a question. I'm always working on a question. Okay. And the question the big question I'm working right now is, what are the stories of relief that are keeping me from stepping on the stage and helping 50,000 people heal themselves? That's the big overall question. And up until recently, the underlying question to that was like, am I on the right track with my vision? Okay. And because I was asking myself that question, I kept on attracting opportunities where I would get to coach other people. Okay. Um, and up until recently, up until like, let's say a month ago, I didn't even realize that that question changed. And that question now became like, is this person in my life right now the person that I'm seeing, as an energy form in my workshop that's been there for from October 2022? And I kept on getting circumstances. I kept on getting circumstances from outside to answer my question. Okay. And then I actually understood today I really don't want a relationship. So I really don't care if it is or it isn't. So then then why am I giving so much energy to a thing that I don't even want? Okay. So then okay, let's, regroup, redirect the energy here. Um, and then oh, so what was my question before all this? Oh, yeah. Am I, am I on track with my vision? Because I noticed that once I stopped asking myself if I'm on track with my vision, there was not a lot of opportunities for me to live in my values. So the random people that came and needed what I do were not there anymore. Like, that's interesting. And, this other question, like, is this person the same person I'm seeing here? Was running through my head. So now I started attracting a lot of the circumstances to answer that question. So once I reverted back, and this, I only did this today. Once I reverted that back to, hey, am I truly on track with my vision? Here's what happened. I started to get really focused and in flow, and I started writing the step-by-step plan of how I'm doing one of my what's it called, one of my coaching series right now. Okay, I really started putting step by step by step by step. It just flowed. It just flowed out there. And I didn't have to wonder like, hey, is this, the next logical step? No, it just flowed. The other thing that happened once I flipped the question, actually someone reached out to me like, hey, I need help. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. And I had the most amazing session. And she was actually working on something from over a week ago, and she wasn't able to break through on her own. So I helped her through that. Like, holy cow, just by flipping the question, just by going back to my original question, like, am I on track with my vision? And I feel so happy and grateful, first of all, that I'm aware of that. Second of all, that I got to be there for this person and cause a breakthrough for her. And so she can, get out of the stuck place that she was at. And now she's, able to continue and moving on with her life. And just looking back at the past year where I was, just breaking up with someone that, wasn't in alignment with me, and how everything, excuse me, how everything else just felt aligned after that is just mind-blowing. And yeah, these are some of the things that come off the top of my head right now that I have discovered around relationships. And oh, the one big part that I almost forgot. So once we broke up, there was an event that I attended for 3 days, and in that event, I got to understand that there was a pattern of men that I had in my life that were all physically, emotionally, or mentally abusive to me. And it all went back to this event when I was 15 years old and I saw my dad beating my mom. And I created several stories regarding that. And once I went through each and every one of them and dissolved them, okay, this event completed in on a Sunday. And what I had on my backdrop for my computer up in that time was a picture of LA, because LA was calling me, and yet there was still something there that wasn't allowing me to go. So there was a picture of LA, and up top right, I had a picture of a $4,400 commission. So I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. And the Sunday of that, after that happened, the Monday following, I got an email saying, hey, you received a $4,400 commission. The day after that, you received $1,000-something commission. And the day after that, you received almost a $400 commission. And the Thursday following all that, I booked an Airbnb, and in 2 weeks, I moved to LA. I didn't know what was holding me back from moving to LA until I cleared it and I moved to LA. And from there, I broke the pattern of attracting people that are mentally, physically, or emotionally abusive. I broke that pattern because the person that came into my life after that, even though he, goes through his shit like we all do, is the first person I have not seen that, blames me or shames me or guilts me when they're in their shit. Like, oh, wow, I truly broke the pattern. And that's so refreshing. That's so refreshing that I have the power to break patterns, and to create something completely new, which is very interesting because right before I met this person, I went to it was actually a seashell shop, but there was a lot of crystals in there. So I found this pyramid, and I heard like, get yourself a pyramid, get yourself a pyramid. Why? I don't know. And it told me, don't buy it from Amazon. You'll know it's the pyramid when you're gonna see it. So I went into this crystal shop. The first thing I picked up, the first thing that I picked up was a pyramid. And it was looking very interesting. Like, I've never seen something like this before. So what transpired from that is that I actually have it here with me. So it has, different faces and whatnot. So here's what came to me when I'm looking at this pyramid. So this is the start of it. Okay. And here you can see it kind of looks like a little road. I'm trying to figure out how, there we go. So it looks like a little road. Okay. So this, to me, it tells me follow the path. Okay. And when I flip it, what I get when I see this, it says break the pattern. And when I flip it to see this, it says, to me, it says find the beauty. And then this is create a new pattern. Okay. And here, evolve and grow from there. So I have this on my desk here to remind me to follow the path. Follow the path. Just follow the path. Go into flow. And everything is there. So just knowing that I have the power to break patterns and create the life that I truly, truly want is just so freeing and so fun, and just, yeah, like, it's powerful when you know that you are the creator of your own life, and everything that you ever wanted, you can just have, as long as you're willing to let go of the limiting beliefs. Because here's another thing that probably not a lot of you are aware of. Again, law of duality. Okay, there's law of attraction that everyone knows about. There's a law of attraction, yes. And law of duality says that there's the law of attraction, there's the law of subtraction. When you want something, you want to get, you've got to give something in return. So if you want this life that you want, okay, you've got to give up the limiting beliefs and stories that are keeping you from doing this. There's the sole purpose of why I formulate the questions that I'm working on in that specific way. What are the stories or beliefs that are keeping me from? This is what I am prepared to offer. My limiting stories and beliefs. I'm prepared to offer these. I'm prepared to let these go so that I can have X. Okay. It's really that simple. We as human beings like to complicate everything. Okay. Life can really be that simple if you let it. Okay. So that was the rant for today. Hopefully you found some value from this. And if you did, go ahead and let me know in the chat. And also, if you are aware of what questions are running you that dictate your current circumstances, let me know in the comments below. I would really, really love to see what you land on. Okay, so thank you for watching. Love you a lot, and I will see you next time. Take care.